While many states have struggled to get vaccines into the arms of their residents before they expire, West Virginia has led the country in vaccine distribution. They've given out nearly 83% of all of their available doses.
Pretty amazing. So Governor of West Virginia, Jim Justice, he joins us now to discuss the strategy in his state. Governor, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
No, thank you so much, Chris and Sagar. You guys are great. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir. You know, it's interesting. I was just looking at some data this morning that Republicans, specifically Republican men, are some of the people most likely to say that they don't want the vaccine. You've had widespread ability, and you also live in you govern a deep red state. Could you tell us about some of the tactics and others that you've been using, both in order to encourage people to get vaccinated and in distributing the vaccines in your state?
Well, first and foremost, West Virginia is a smaller state, and with that, though, the population is dispersed, and there's challenges like you can't imagine. We were first in the nation with our nursing homes as far as the testing, first in the nation getting all of our nursing homes vaccinated, both shots, and assisted living as well. Led the nation over and over with the vaccine, administration, and we're going to continue to do so because every vial that comes into West Virginia, every single week, we exhaust every vial and get every single shot in somebody's arm. And we did that by soliciting, our local pharmacies, local health clinics, and the National Guard, and on and on and on. But with that, Sagar, you mentioned the challenge of getting Republicans to step up and take the vaccines. Well, I'm a real believer that whether that be, Republicans or Democrats or independents and everything, really at the end of the day, you've just got to be in front of them and you've got to earn their trust, and then you've got to tell them. I tell our people every day or every other day that I'm doing our briefings and everything that you have to take this vaccine. Really and truly, the downside of taking the vaccine is almost nothing, and is a big thing. Or the downside of taking the vaccine is almost nothing. The downside of not taking the vaccine is unbelievable. And from the standpoint, I tell our people all the time, and you'll probably get a kick out of this, is for crying out loud, don't let somebody tell you you're going to grow antlers if you take the vaccine. That kind of myths and those kind of silly things have got to get out of the conversation.
Yeah.
Governor, one of the things that's happened since the beginning of this pandemic is pandemic compliance has become this weird culture war issue, pitting liberals against conservatives, especially with regards to mask wearing, which has become, a sign. Look, our public health officials say this is what we should do, and it helps protect ourselves, helps protect others around us. A lot of Republicans have come out aggressively against mask wearing, sort of flaunting the restrictions, places like Texas lifting the mask requirements altogether. What do you make of that, and how have you handled that in the state?
Well, I want to be respectful, first and foremost, of everybody, but at the same time, Crystal, from my standpoint, I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat or independent. I really, truly, first and foremost, want you to be great Americans, and the same way with great West Virginians. And that's what we've done here. I say that all the time, and really and truly, this idea of everything having to be a political football and someone trying to be macho, whatever, and everything, and say, we don't want to do this. We're still wearing our mask in West Virginia, and I don't like it. I mean, I really and truly wish we didn't have to wear a mask, but really, I'm a real believer that one robin doesn't make spring. And just because things are halfway looking better, we're all so happy about that. It's unbelievable. And I think we're going to get there. But to jump ahead just for the sake of doing something politically and everything, I don't agree with it.
It's interesting, Governor. We watch you with a lot of interest in terms of your comments on the stimulus bill, how it can maybe put you outside of the mainstream of the Republican Party. Why is it exactly that you saw all of these Republicans who voted against that stimulus bill? You've been critical of Joe Manchin as well. You are the governor of a Trump state, a red state. You're a Republican yourself. What do you need as the governor of West Virginia from the federal government, both for, in terms of rebuilding your state, but also in terms of relief?
Well, I mean, Sagar, we've been hurt just like everyone else. I mean, this was a mega cannonball right to our stomach, and we all know that. And from the standpoint of a business approach to the whole thing, I mean, that's what I am. I'm not a politician, for crying out loud. I don't ever want to be a politician. But from a business approach, in every deal that I've ever been through, most generally you undershoot what it's going to cost to get you across the steepest part of the mountain. The steepest part of the mountain is always at the very top, and most people slide back down. But really, from my standpoint, we needed to go big. Now, going big doesn't mean that we do all these pet projects or bail out pension plans and all that kind of stuff. But I am telling you, too many of our small businesses, too many of the individuals that don't have a job at no responsibility of their own and everything, too many people are still hurting. And if we undershoot, we're not going to get across the top of the mountain. If we overshoot and waste a few dollars, well, we just waste a few dollars, but we've got our economy really going. We've helped our people and everything. That's how I look at the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Was it a mistake then for Senator Shelley Moore Capito of your state and every other Republican to vote against this relief bill?
I think it's a mistake from this standpoint and this standpoint only. The same thing is happening with the Democrats. They line up like a bunch of sheep and they all say, we're all going to go this way because we don't like what the Republicans are doing, or the Republicans don't like what the Democrats are doing. That is absolutely destroying our country. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, that will cannibalize us.
Yeah.
You know, we are first and foremost supposed to serve. There is no way that all the Democrats can be for something and all the Republicans against it and vice versa. From that standpoint, you know, I am super respectful and love her to death and think she's absolutely a great senator and a great person in Shelley Capito. But at the same time, we can't possibly tell me that all of us need to line up for the benefit of the party, irregardless of what the circumstances are all the time. I think it's a real mistake.
So, Governor, you've been critical of Senator Manchin, kind of from the left, saying, as you just did, that, hey, it's better to spend too much and go too big than not be generous enough when we're facing a crisis like this. Why did you switch parties from Democrat to Republican to start with, and do you still feel like that was the right choice?
Oh, I know it's the right choice. There's no question whatsoever. I am positive that it's the right choice. The reason I switched was just one thing. You know, I worked really, really, really hard in order to be able to get things through in our first budget. And the Democrats at the 11th hour, you know, I went right to them and everything, needed just a handful of their votes, and they all dove in a ditch. And they dove in a ditch when things could have been really beneficial to their constituents, and it really, really hurt. And I said right then, you know, first of all, I'm real friends with the president, you know, whether, you know, you think that's good or bad. I'm really good friends with the president. My family's been Republican surely most of all of our lives and everything. And with all that, I said, you know, I'm wasting time here. And I'm not going to come down here and waste time. I don't need this job in any way. I don't want anything. I don't want anything for it. All I want to do is serve. And you hear that all the time. But that's what I do. Yeah. I don't take a salary. I drive myself. I feed myself. Absolutely. I don't have lavish parties on the taxpayer's dime. You're talking to a real patriot here that believes in America and believes in West Virginia.
Governor, you've done very well for yourself, wealthiest man in West Virginia, billionaire by a lot of measures. And yet your companies right now, they owe millions of dollars in environmental fines, according to recent Department of Justice filings. Why are your companies not doing what they're required to do under the law with regards to environmental cleanup?
Well, Crystal, first and foremost, that is so unbelievably wrong. It's off the chart. I'll take you anytime you come here, and I'll get you with my son, and we will go look at any and every one of these projects from the standpoint of absolutely almost every last one of them. We took them over from prior owners that were dead level bankrupt, and we absolutely have fixed all these environmental problems when the states were left standing there holding the bag. And so we didn't create the problems, we fixed the problems, and we move forward. So you know, from the standpoint of the reporting and whatever like that, they say what they want, but I will be glad to take you anytime and show you.
Well, whenever we're out of this pandemic, perhaps we'll take you up on that, sir. We appreciate you joining us, and we appreciate the questions as well.
No, thank y'all so much. I appreciate you every day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Coming
Bye-bye.
up, Bernie Sanders is calling on Jeff Bezos to testify in front of Congress over Amazon workers' union efforts. We're going to talk about that more when Rising returns.